Good morning to all visitors. Some of you came from far. And today we celebrate American independence. 350 years ago, the founding fathers said no to the British rule. And about 50 years after that, our Greek nation also fought from its independence from the Turks. And just to show the greatness of freedom and independence, we need to remind ourselves the words of Arigas Fereos, Καλύτερα μια ώρα ελεύθερη ζωή. It is better to have 1 hour of freedom than 40 years of prison and slavery. So independence is a great gift of God. God made us free and independent. Adam and Eve were given total freedom in paradise. They were created in the image of God, and freedom and free will is a constituent and an element of God's image in men. Unfortunately, in order to keep that independence, Adam needed to be dependent on the grace of God. When Adam decided and chose to give up that dependence on God, then he lost his independence. And our founding fathers here in America, I remember reading years ago that they said that it is good that we put a Bible in every classroom. This was in Boston. So our children can know the will of God, so they cannot be enslaved by the traps of the devil. And how right they were. 300 years later, our nation is unrecognizable. And today, in the gospel, Christ, the incarnated Logos, he's the one who fashioned Adam and Eve. And after Adam and Eve lost their independence, they were enslaved to the devil. And all through the Old Testament, God tried through prophets to reveal his will to his children. But God needed to send his only Son to come here on earth, to become incarnated through the Theotokos to save us. And after his baptism, after 40 days of fighting the traps of the devil and the temptations of the devil, he came to start his ministry that would reveal his Father's will to men. So one morning, he came to establish his team of co-workers. He came to Galilee, to the Sea of Galilee, and he saw 2 brothers, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew. And the question is, there were probably over 1,000 fishermen around Gennesaret, another name of the Sea of Galilee. And why did he choose these 4, Andrew and Peter and John and Jacob? There were many other fishermen. And why fishermen? Why did he not go to the wealthy who would help him financially? Why did he not go to the scribes and the Pharisees who knew the law and they were educated? Because more so than intelligence and brains, God in his wisdom was looking for character, because character is much more important than intellectual power and much more important than wealth. We will see that later on when he invites the rich young man to follow him and tells him, "Come and follow me, sell everything you have and follow me." The young man could not do it. And because of their egotism, the scribes and Pharisees could not accept the truth of the gospel. So he goes to these simple fishermen, because these 4, they had synergy with one another. They were like a synobitic community. They had a kinovio. They were helping one another. They were already giving up their own will for the other person. They worked together to fight the waves of the sea. And if one team would not have enough fish, then they would share with the other. They were like a little partnership. So because they were disciples of St. John the Baptist, and because of the simplicity of their heart, he walks up to them one morning and he says, "Follow me." I like the Greek much better. Δεύτε, opiso mu elthin. Come. And this is the eternal calling of God. Come and walk behind me. Not side by side with me, because you don't know enough. Not in front of me. Sometimes we want to go in front of God. Sometimes we want to go ahead of the church. We want to do things our own way to please ourselves. But Christ says, "Δεύτε, come and walk behind me." And this δεύτε will be repeated 2 more times in the gospel. This Greek δεύτε. And this will become the love of the hymnographers. This δεύτε. I remember from Holy Week. Δεύτε Χριστοφόροι λαοί κατίδωμεν. Come, Christ-bearing nations, and see what Judas has conspired with the scribes and Pharisees. And another hymn, Δεύτε εργασόμεθα το μυστικό αμπελώνει. Let us work in the mystical vineyard of the Lord. And this δεύτε, he will say again, Δεύτε, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest, because the only true rest comes from God. I will give you rest from sin, because sin is exhausting. The sinful lifestyle is exhausting. Sin robs us from all our energy. Come and I will give you rest. And then if we will listen to the gospel, and if we will continue to follow the commandments, and if we begin to become Christ-like, then we will hear one more δεύτε, not here on earth, but on their way up when we are being raised from the graves into heaven. Δεύτε, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom that was created before the foundation of the world. And this δεύτε applies to all of us. All of us are invited to follow Christ, to follow the commandments, to be dependent on Christ. Because only when we are dependent on Christ, then we will become independent of our passions and our weaknesses and our jealousies and all these passions that enslave us and torture us through our life. Christ says, "Follow me and I will give you the truth." He's the truth. He's the way and the life. And the truth will set us free. The truth of the gospel will set us free. So this is the kind of freedom that God came to give us. The law of God gives freedom, where the devil gives some initial independence, but then it becomes a torturous bondage and slavery, a terrible slavery. Look at all those people addicted on different vices today, the slavery that they suffer. Look at all the people who bought the life and drank the Kool-Aid of the devil. Come, do things your own way, and I will give you happiness right away. Just like the prodigal son. He wanted to go out and experience life. And his egotistical lifestyle made him a feeder of pigs. Christ came to give us freedom. And no one on this earth has the right to violate our free will, to violate our freedom that was given to us from the beginning in paradise to Adam and Eve. So if we continue to follow Christ and follow the commandments and continue to use the sacraments of the church, the mysteries of the church, then we will taste that great freedom and that great peace that transcends all understanding. Amen.